In the last video, it was the first in this series on productivity. We talked about doing the 80-20 analysis, how 20% of your efforts get you to 80% of your results. With that in mind, thinking about being more productive today, we go to the next step in this process, and that is clearing your head. Today, we are going to talk about doing the ever famous brain dump, something that I've done with audiences for, almost 20 years. And it is a stress management technique, but above all, it's going to end up being a productivity technique. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to do the brain dump, what goes into it, everything you need to know to clear your troubled and worried and overwhelmed mind. Hi, my name is Eric Herdman. Welcome to my channel. I'm a professional speaker, and today we're talking about the brain dump. This is a series of videos, video trainings on how to be more productive. In the last video, which I'll link down below in the description of this video, we talked about the 80-20 analysis, how 80% of your results, 80% of your successes, 80% of the things that you're probably from your leadership or clients or customers are looking at that they want you to achieve are made possible by doing 20% of the tasks. So another way to think about that is 20% of your efforts give you 80% of your results. In today's video, we're going to be focusing on how to do that brain dump. It's the next logical stop in this productivity series. And the brain dump is just as it sounds. It's taking everything that's inside your head and getting it out on paper. So first up, a couple things that you'll need. You might want to pause to go grab those things. First up, you'll need a blank sheet of paper. I really recommend the blank sheet of paper, like printer paper, copy paper, or a blank sheet of anything. If there are lines or dots or squares, that's okay. But sometimes people prefer just a blank sheet of paper for this. 8.5 by 11 is fine. You'll need something obviously to write with and a timer or a stopwatch, something to time yourself for at least a minute. So, what is the brain dump? Well, it's just like it sounds. You see, tasks and to-dos are stored or dumped into our prefrontal cortex. That's the frontal lobe right here. And as many on this subject have said, the brain is for having ideas, not holding on to them. And that's very true. In fact, that's what we try to do. We try to hack or push string uphill against a pretty solid system in that prefrontal cortex. And we try to hold on to too many tasks and to-dos. The research shows that once you get above 3, for most people, for sure 4 tasks and to-dos, I know some of you are like, dude, I got like 88 up there, or 15 or 27, right? Yes, the struggle is real. But the researchers that have studied this have said that if you get above 3 or 4 tasks and to-dos, a few things happen. Number one, you get overwhelmed. You get stressed, right? Because you're trying to hold on to those things and you're trying to keep them literally top of mind or front of mind. The other thing that happens, holding on to more than 3 or 4 tasks and to-dos, we have trouble with our executive functions. We have trouble doing other things like thinking, creating, and problem solving. Yes, holding on to 3 or 4 tasks and to-dos and trying to keep those in focus, we have trouble accessing the thinking, creative, and processing centers for making decisions and doing some of that analytical thinking. The way to think of that is the prefrontal cortex gets in the way of us accessing those creative spots in our brain and the analytical, logical spots in our brain. It doesn't make it impossible, but it makes it really hard. You've probably experienced this if you've ever sat down to do something that you're good at or you like to do, and you just struggle. And you even say to yourself, why is this so hard today? Usually it's because the prefrontal cortex is overloaded with tasks and to-dos. First thing, we get overwhelmed and stressed. Second thing, our executive functions get diminished. And the third thing that happens when we hold on to too many tasks and to-dos inside of our prefrontal cortex is we become deletion creatures. If you've been to one of my talks, you know I always give the example of we've all walked into the grocery store with 3 items that we want to pick up. 3 items, right? Bread, milk, eggs. Bread, milk, eggs. And you can say that over and over again. You can say it under your breath. You can say it out loud. You can have a Post-it note stuck to your forehead. You could have it written on your hand. And you did the right thing, meaning you messaged your spouse, partner, or significant other on the way to the grocery store and said, hey, I'm going to stop and get bread, milk, and eggs. Do you need anything? And as soon as you walked into the store thinking it was going to be smooth sailing with milk, bread, and eggs, they said, yes, I need Red Bull and coffee. And so now you're walking around the store going, bread, milk, eggs, Red Bull, coffee. You get home and you're so proud of yourself. You plop all 4 of the ingredients and items out on the counter with a big smile on your face, and your spouse says to you, where's the coffee? It's great that you got the milk, the eggs, and the bread. We needed that. Thank you for the Red Bull. But I also asked for coffee. And that's what happens. Our brains, when they start to get overwhelmed and we have trouble making executive decisions, thinking, creating, and problem solving, a couple things happen. We start deleting things. And you're lucky you got the Red Bull, because I was really focused on those 3 things, which was milk, bread, and eggs. So that's an example and kind of laying out what happens when we hold on to too many tasks and to-dos in our head. Let's get to the brain dump. Let's solve this problem. So grab that sheet of paper, something to write with, and your stopwatch. What's going to happen right now is we're going to set up the brain dump. And I want you to do it for 1 minute. I just want you to take 1 minute of your time and just get a sample, a feel for what this is going to be like. On the other side of you doing the initial brain dump, the 1 minute brain dump that we're going to do here, I'll explain why you might need a few more moments. We'll also talk about those of you that are not feeling so great after doing that, and some of you will feel a heck of a lot better in about a minute from now. But don't start yet. What I want you to do in the brain dump is focus in on all, yes, all the tasks and to-dos that you have in your prefrontal cortex. That means not just your professional or work to-dos. I want you to think about things in your personal life, things in that Amazon shopping cart that you need to go ahead and either get out of there or hit buy it now, the gift card that you need to pick up, the prescription you need to pick up, those things that you've been meaning to write down that you need to get at the grocery store the next time you're there. Oh, the check engine light that came on this morning. And oh, that permission slip you need to sign for one of your children to go on a field trip. Yeah, that thing too. In 1 minute, your job is to think across all those silos, all those areas. Maybe even think about the people and the projects and the errands and those sort of things that you have to do, and try to jot as many of them down as you can in 1 minute. Your goal is to get as many of those down as you can. Don't worry about prioritizing or categorizing them. It's just a free flow of dumping those things, hence the name brain dump, out of your head. Don't prioritize them, just get them out. If it looks like chicken scratch, that's okay. Your main goal is to keep the pen or pencil moving the entire minute. So right now, what I want you to do is get ready to pause the video. Don't go anywhere though. Keep the video paused. Pull your piece of paper close, grab that pen or pencil, hit that stopwatch as soon as I say go, and then join us back in 1 minute having completed your brain dump. Ready, set, go. Welcome back. That was 1 minute, and you have in front of you a brain dump. Yeah, you have a brain dump. Now, first thing, some of you are feeling absolutely amazing right now, and you probably know why, because you got it out. Even if you didn't get it all out, because it was only a minute, I'll address that in a moment, at least you got a heck of a lot of it out. And even just relieving some of the pressure, right? You might have 10 things up there, and you got 7, 8, 9 of them down. There's a couple more maybe up there. That's okay, because now you're probably able to hold on to a couple up there, and you've externalized those, which is the reason why we like to do this on paper and kind of with the handwriting, that tactile experience. There's something about that. Those of you that feel kind of in the middle, normal, I can take it or leave it, stay with me. That's normal as well. And then there's also a third category. You got people that feel good, people that feel oh so-so, and people that feel horrible. A lot of times people that feel horrible realize that they got a heck of a lot more up here than they thought. Another reason why people don't feel so good doing the brain dump or after the initial brain dump is they unearth something. They put something down when they're thinking about what they have to do. They put something down big and monumental. It might be something that they've forgotten. It might be something that they got to do right now, and they realize that. It could also be like a big project that's kind of looming large out in front of you, and the anticipation or, okay, the stress of getting that managed and started is a bit overwhelming. But in the next few videos, we're going to talk about how to handle those sort of things. Today, let's just make sure that we get everybody doing a brain dump. So, the 800-pound gorilla in the room right now is, I think I need more time. And you do. The good news is, you don't need as much time as you feel or you think you need right now. Even those people that are feeling good probably feel like, oh, I need another 20, 30 minutes, or those people feeling bad, like I need to sit down and do this for an hour. Well, the good news is you don't need to. As I've said, I've been doing this for about 2 decades with audiences, and I've tested a variety of lengths of time. I've done 20-minute brain dumps where I've given the audience 20 minutes. I then cut it all the way back to 10 minutes, and I have to tell you, 10 minutes, at about 7, 8, 9 minutes, I get the most of the room looking up at me like, we're done. You know that look when you've been in a seminar room, people, when you're doing an activity, and 80, 90% of the room is done or faster than the given time. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, there are a few outliers that might need 12, 13, 14 minutes. But again, in my anecdotal take on this, having done it for quite some time though, I can tell you that it feels like you need more, but you probably only need another 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 minutes on top of your initial 1-minute brain dump that you have right there. So I would encourage you, after this video is over, to just grab that piece of paper, and you can put a time limit on it if you want, or you can just kind of sit there and go through that cathartic process. It is very helpful. It does feel great to just really explore all of those silos or segments or areas and people, projects in your life, and just get it all down on paper. Now that's the brain dump. So again, we did 1 minute now, and you can kind of see what's happening in that 1 minute, and we'll talk about that in a second. But again, just to summarize, 1 minute was a start. You probably need another 6, 7, 8 minutes. Maybe a few folks will need another 10 minutes to thoroughly clean out the accumulation of tasks and to-dos in the prefrontal cortex. The next thing that you'll want to do once you have completed the final brain dump is categorize them. You can flip the piece of paper over, or you could just put check marks next to work items, put an asterisk next to personal items, things like phone calls, put a phone icon or draw a phone or put call next to it. You get the idea. Start to categorize or silo or constrain these tasks and to-dos into some sort of clusters, categories, different topics, however you want to think about it. And I want to not tell you intentionally what the categories should be, because that's going to be another video. But what I want you to do is just to start linking them together. You can circle like items. You can do it however you want. But again, take the items that you have from the final, probably again a 6, 7, 8, 9 minute total brain dump, and categorize those. And then come back next week as we talk about, well, what to do with those items that you've just dumped out on that sheet of paper. Also, over the next week, a little homework for you. Not really like you got to do it or else, but what I would like you to do is to practice doing a brain dump at the very beginning of your day and at the very end of your day. Now, what kind of timing are we talking about here? Some people like to do a brain dump as soon as they wake up. They got to clear their head. Stuff has kind of come up, if you will, overnight. Ideas and thoughts and tasks and to-dos surface. That's normal as the brain kind of does its consolidation and Well, it's housekeeping as we sleep. Some people like to do it a few hours after they wake up, and once they arrive to their desk or they get into their workday, that's absolutely okay. One thing I wanted to say about the end of the day brain dump is some people like to do it in the last hour of their day, the last few minutes. Some people like to do it once they get home. Some people like to do it before bed. I just want to give you a bit of advice and caution on doing it right before you go to bed. I would advise against that. I do my last brain dump according to the research. The research shows that if we do a brain dump or a worry journal right on the edge of the bed, right in just minutes before we go to bed, we tend to be seeding the brain, putting those things that we're jotting down right in the prefrontal cortex. And what happens is that the brain kind of hangs on to that when you go to sleep. And yes, you may go to sleep because those things are written down and your brain says, yes, they're written down and I can relax off of that. But they're so fresh and it was so close to when you went to sleep that a lot of times those things will wake you up in the middle of the night. As the subconscious mind starts to get into that really quiet part of our sleep cycles, it tends to kind of work on those things. The subconscious mind needs quiet and isolation and not a lot of distractions. And there are periods throughout our night of sleeping where that happens. So, easy fix, 45 minutes to an hour before bed, do your last brain dump or your last worry journal if you do a worry journal. But anyway, that last brain dump should be 45 minutes to an hour before you go to bed, not in the bedroom, not right on the nightstand. Do that brain dump, set that list or whatever you capture those things on by your bag or jacket or shove it in a pocket that you're going to take to work with you the next day or put it someplace where you'll see it as soon as you wake up. And now you've done the right thing. You've cleared it out and you're putting some distance, some time, some other activities in between the brain dump and when you try to go to sleep. That way, no risk of those things waking you up at 2:11 in the morning in a cold sweat. So until next time, where we talk about what to do with those items that you've put on that sheet of paper from your brain dump and you've categorized. Take care of yourself so you can take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video.